Hello and welcome to Crypto News. Today is August 1st, 2025. Happy new month to you all. Here are the top crypto news stories. We're going to quickly move through the countries today, starting with El Salvador, which has signed a memorandum of understanding with Bolivia. El Salvador offers its guidance on crypto and Bitcoin. From Bolivia, we move on to something interesting for tourists in South Korea. Now in South Korea, if you're a tourist, you can go to certain ATMs and make a withdrawal using Tether. This is only available to tourists, as regulators are still working out the rules for stablecoins for locals. From South Korea, we move to Algeria, which clearly does not see the future, as the Algerian government has introduced a new law that strictly prohibits all activities related to cryptocurrencies, including trading, ownership, and even mining. Any violation of these rules carries a prison sentence of up to 1 year and a fine of up to $7,000. So as I said, Algeria certainly cannot see the future. And from Algeria, we move to America, which confirms its vision of a Bitcoin reserve. Specifically, the head of digital assets in the White House, Mr. Bo Hines, this gentleman you see on your screens, told us that the strategic asset Bitcoin remains active and has not been removed, despite being absent from the crypto report, which we discussed in the Crypto News episode. Continuing in America, we turn to the SEC. The chairman of the commission, Mr. Atkins, announced the Crypto Project, an initiative to modernize the agency for the digital financial age and establish clear regulations for digital assets in the United States. The most interesting part of this is that he proposed relaxing the licensing rules so that crypto companies can operate legally in America, making it easier for existing companies to embrace crypto. Moving on, we take a look at our companies as the data for the second quarter of 2025 has been released. First of all, the strategy announced a profit of $10 billion in Q2 and plans to raise $4.2 billion to buy Bitcoin. It already holds 3% of the total supply. Next, we move on to Kraken, which is not doing so well. Kraken's revenue fell 6.8% year over year to $79.7 million. One issue that is likely worrying the market is Coinbase. Coinbase reported total revenue of $1.5 billion, down 25% from the previous fiscal quarter. The platform's Q2 revenue was about 6% lower than analysts had predicted, with analysts expecting an additional $1.59 billion. That's exactly why its stock is down 7% and is currently at 4.77% on the weekly chart. The positive news for Coinbase comes from what's coming next. First of all, Coinbase continues to buy Bitcoin and acquired 2,509 BTC in Q2, indicating that it will continue to accumulate more for its own reserves. What is also interesting is that Coinbase plans to enter the tokenized stock market. It will offer shares through its platform and will also launch its own prediction market. That's all for Coinbase, and moving on to our companies, we turn to Tether, which announced a profit of $4.9 billion in Q2 alone. All this according to the company's CEO, and it seems that Tether is healthy for now. And from Tether, we move on to the person who has made the most mess in the financial system, Mr. Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan, who is now a supporter of stablecoins. The CEO of JP Morgan has reaffirmed his belief in stablecoins, but he is not positive about Bitcoin and has stated that stablecoins could be used in ways that fiat currencies cannot. Let's say we are talking about the person who, in previous episodes, had said that yes, the company is getting into stablecoins because customers want it, but couldn't understand why anyone would prefer stablecoins to traditional deposits, among many other things he has said for a long time. Continuing, since we are talking about companies, let's say that 99% of CFOs, or in simpler terms, those who manage a company's finances, plan to use cryptocurrencies in the long term. This survey surveyed 200 CFOs at companies with revenue of over $1 billion and found that 23% expect their finance departments to use cryptocurrencies for investments or payments. Over the next 2 years, this figure climbs to almost 40% among CFOs at firms with revenue of more than $10 billion, where they are more likely to be thinking about investing. So let's not get carried away. Most companies are thinking about cryptocurrencies. And while we're on the subject, let's take a look at the Ether Machine, which is the third largest Ethereum holding company. This company bought 15,000 ETH for $56.9 million and raised $1.28 billion. And for the latest news of the day with Polygon, which is working with the Philippine government on government documents. Specifically, the Philippine government has officially launched a blockchain-based system for processing government documents on the Polygon network. The interesting thing about this is that any citizen can verify their documents without having to reveal their personal information, thanks to ZK technology. So the Philippines is a great example of what CryptoNEWS has been saying for years, that countries without the infrastructure that Europe or America have will adopt blockchain very quickly because it will bring them infrastructure that they did not have, and which is difficult for a state to acquire. And it's time to go to our favorite cryptocurrency market, with Bitcoin at $115,000. The price so far has not lost our support, and the only thing I have seen that has worried the market is the price of Coinbase's stock, which is not doing very well. At least so far, I have not noticed anything else on the news side. That wraps up the top news for crypto. Today is August 1st, 2025. I'd like to remind you that the content you just watched is created for educational purposes only, and should not be considered as investment advice, but rather as investment opinion. Please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and feel free to comment. Take care everyone, and have a good day.